YouTube.
The awkward, what I said in the hall was your mic, right? But then you didn't answer. So I was like, oh shit, did I get the wrong person? So then I awkwardly walked into the bathroom. Just occurred.
What do you say? I can't hear.
Oh, it's okay.
Now he's in committee because I can't hear.
All right, you're
It's okay. Never mind. Just mind.
you're live.
Okay,
Give it just a second here. The aisle's spinning itself up.
yeah, if she sent it out, I don't see it. She got your email? Yeah. But I talked to her last week because I read it registered the truck.
All right, you're good.
All right, the meeting will come to order. It is 6:32 PM, Liam. Item 2 on our agenda is those present. We have Noah Nygren, Andy Blanchard, Terry Toomey, and Liam Erickson from the committee. Item 3 on our agenda is approval of the minutes for July 8th of 2025. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah,
So,
motion to approve.
second minute. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Motion to approve by Liam, second by Andy. Those in favor? All right, Liam, if you're in favor, that's unanimous.
Yeah, thank you, Noah.
Appreciate it. Item 4 on our agenda is the Harbor Masters report.
Okay, I just have a few items. We've done a bunch of updates to the pier, which doesn't really affect you guys. We've installed some no wake buoys. We've replaced some outlets and some new water going to the pier. There's 2 shellfish surveys coming up. One is on October the 13th, which is a Monday, which is Columbus Day, and there is one on October 29th, which is a Wednesday. Those are both in the morning. One's at 9, one's at 9:30. I don't have anybody signed up for either one of those. The one on the 13th is Winnick's Neck, Clay Pits, Jeans Point, and the one on the 29th is scheduled for Spurwink and the Nonsuch River. I did talk to one member who has a commercial one member who has a commercial license, and they said they'll probably end up doing the one on the Spurwink or the Nonsuch River. So I have one person for that. That's all I have to report.
All right, thank you, Darren. Item 5 on our agenda is the council liaisons report. We do not have Scott tonight, so item 6 is general public comment. Yeah, I guess if there are any public comments for items that are not on the agenda, then this would be the time. Are there any from you?
I'm all set.
All set, Mike? Yeah. All right. So general public comment is closed, and unless Ari wants to do one. But I think,
I'm all set.
okay. All right, so yes, general public comment is closed. Item 7 on our agenda is old business, but there's none at this time. So item 8 on our agenda is new business. And I'll introduce, it's just a discussion on the amendments to chapter 1002 Shellfish Conservation Ordinance. So I'll open that up to discussion now. Who wants to start this off? Well, I know you had something, Andy, so I'll.
Funny to ask. I was wanting to discuss implementing what they call it, like a thing to so that essentially so that if you have a resident license after a certain amount of time, such as 5 years, you could turn it into a non-resident license. and vice versa. Essentially allowing non-residents to move to the town of Scarborough, or allowing longtime Scarborough residents to maintain their livelihood in a housing crisis. Rather than be forced to, whereas housing is getting expensive.
How does
I
that,
have a write up here too.
how is that, how different would it be from what we previously did in 2023 before we crossed it off?
Essentially it's the same thing, other than it. At least in my opinion, was thinking it would make sense if you had a commercial license and lived in the town of Scarborough for 5 years or so. I mean, that could be up for debate too. I don't know. It just seems like it'd be good if they had some ties to Scarborough, rather than just having someone like get the license and then move to out of town. It'd be good if they had some ties to Scarborough. And whereas it's mostly benefiting younger people, if there was a way to have it so if you had like a student license, oh, I guess that doesn't always happen, where you go right from student to an adult license, but
That
if
happened to
it's-
me, Andy. That happened to me. That happened to my cousin Will.
oh, okay.
No, it did
It
not
can
happen
happen,
to you.
it definitely can happen, it's just not written in the stars.
Yeah, I guess I just mean if that were to happen, then the 5 years would count if you're a student license, if you have a student license as well, rather than just having to have the full-time license for 5 years.
Okay.
And I think that's,
But other than that, it was similar though.
yeah,
So is there any more
Last time we discussed that it was 10 years,
10 years?
but I mean,
I think it was living in the town of Scarborough for 10 years, right?
right.
Yeah,
And as far as, say you had the student license 10 years, probably should at least allow, make that 5 years there or something, instead of just going right into,
right. In general, is there support for bringing this back into consideration where somebody can have their license in Scarborough and then turn it into a non-resident license? Is that something that has support?
I mean, what I'd be worried about now is, whether the state would even allow this.
it's already been
I think-
implemented in Harpswell and Freeport.
Yeah, and luckily we have Ari here. This is wording.
Yeah.
This is wording that,
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, she probably would have a good.
yeah,
Yeah, there's no, that wouldn't violate any sort of state reg or statute. Like somebody said, it's already happening in other towns too.
okay. As long as,
I don't have any problem with it. I mean, this town is just getting crazy. I got my tax bill yesterday. It's fun.
yeah.
You know,
Liam, any concerns? Darren, any concerns?
No, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I do sort of appreciate, I don't know if it is Terry's idea or what he's just recalling from the past, but the 10-year thing I think makes sense in some ways. It really kind of shows in an investment to the community. And I think a lot of people might feel, maybe people who are a little bit resistant to it might be more open to it with a 10-year requirement. Because those people have sort of done their time, so to speak. I think it's an excellent idea, and it's an opportunity for, people who want to be here to move here, and people who want to move away and save money to move away. The only reason that I bought a house in Pine Point and not in, 40 minutes inland is because I had a clam license. Had I not had a clam license, I would not live where or, if I was able to move, I would have. So I think it makes sense for a lot of people. It's a shame that it has to be like that, but I think it would be a real, step in the right direction for, helping out the little guy.
Okay.
In regards to the 10-year thing, I mean, I guess my question would be, what is the, like, is the purpose of the 10-year to be more of a feel good for people that are opposed to it, or is there a purpose to the 10-year versus 5-year? In my opinion, 5-year kind of puts it at more of a, I don't know, it just seems like just enough, so like, if you're a student license, if you have a student license, then that would put you at right around the time that you're, you know, getting out of college, more or less, and like, I feel like that's more of a benefit to the younger people that this would help versus 10 years is a while, but
Yes, I totally agree, Andy. I really agree with what you're saying. I guess to answer your question, yeah, I think it's sort of a both for me. I imagine it could be like a bargaining chip for someone who's on the fence about it, to use your words, like a feel good thing. But also, I think that maybe I don't know how like the town feels about this type of action. And I think that maybe it would be like an incentive, like 10 more years of potential tax revenue. But I guess it don't matter who they get the tax money from, it's gonna come. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just sort of thinking out loud, Andy.
and also, do you mean 10 years of residency or 10 years of having a license, or both?
I think 10 years of living where the license, like either holding a license for 10 years, whether that means being a non-resident and living out of town for 10 years consecutively, or being a resident and living in town for 10 years consecutively. So both, I guess it would have to be both.
Yeah, okay.
Wait a minute, can you run that by me again, Liam?
Andy's question was like, Andy, what was your question?
My question was, is there a preference as to 5 or 10 years
A
living
resident.
C versus having a license? Like, so like, if you lived in the town of Scarborough your whole life, then you have, even before you had the license, you know, have 20 years of residency, but you might only have 5 or 6 years of licensure. Do you mean that you need to hold a license in the town of Scarborough for 10 years, or that only that you need to be a resident in the town of Scarborough for
Yeah, and to that, Noah, what I was saying is I think you'd have to have the numbers be, it would have to be both. Because if you had one for X amount of time, you would automatically have the other. So if you're a current resident and current clamor, you would have to be a resident in order to have the license, and you'd have the license because you're a resident. So you'd have to have both of them for 10 years or 5 years. Same with if you were from away trying to relocate to the town for some crazy reason.
or there's the possibility of like 10 years residency and 5 years licensure, or something similar, like a mix. Is
But-
the other theory, but
If we're trying, I just wanna go back to what you were saying, because if we're trying to potentially help out guys who just got out of college, and let's be honest, they're not gonna buy a house usually, are they gonna have had a student license for 5 years? In a lot of cases, I'd say probably not.
so
So
the theory there would be no years.
what are your thoughts on like 3 or so?
I think 3 is way too soon, and I do not think that people will support that.
Okay.
I think there's this idea, whether it's fair or not, that you have to do your time, and I can't say that I disagree with it. I don't know how you put that into writing or what, but I think it would be troubling for people, maybe myself as well, to see someone get a license and then the next day move out and change it. I think that would be unfair.
Okay.
I think Robert Willett was the first one that brought this up, I don't know how many years ago, but a few years ago anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see, I mean, if you allowing somebody to come in here and live here a year or two, or even 5 years, and you know, yeah, I mean, at the time Robert was proposing this whole thing, I think, I don't know if it was just Tody or the town was against it because of lost tax revenue. I mean, maybe they've changed their tune now, I don't know, but,
Yeah, I really don't think that,
you know, but
I don't think.
I mean, I think 5 years is not enough.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to come to a number at some point, and it's
I
probably
mean,
gonna,
there's a lot of clammers out there with 10 years and now that might bite on that thing and it might help the rest of the tickets. Because if you're not living in town and you gotta drive down here 50 miles or something, you might not claim as much as you would as living here in town.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, a number. At the next meeting, when we probably do action, we're gonna have to come to a number, so
Right.
just be considering what that's gonna be. I think we're at least close. But other than that, I think the wording is what we already worked on with Robert and Tody, and I don't think we
Right.
need to change that too much, if everyone agrees.
Was that wording from the ordinance or was that here at a meeting?
It was at a meeting where we were going to bring it forward back in 2023,
Okay.
but we didn't have 3 votes or 2 votes on the ordinance committee. So
Right.
we just crossed it out. It was dead on arrival.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try again, I suppose. So I think we've got that figured out. And we'll vote on that next time. We also wanted to consider, Darren, requiring a certain amount of surveys. So that's gonna be new. What are everyone's thoughts on having to do a survey every other year or every 3rd year, which would better support the state wanting 3 surveys from Scarborough every year at least?
Well, Darren, how many man hours do you need per, like, do you know the total amount for all the surveys that they're looking for?
It depends on how many people show up. So,
So like, what would be the required amount to do the 3 surveys a year for all the all the areas?
well, it's usually a 4-hour survey, so it's 12 hours.
12 hours per area, and, well, no.
No,
12
it's
hours
usually 4 hours,
Laura.
4 hours per area,
per person.
per person, but like,
So
when they did Turner's Bar, there was like 6 of them that went. When they did,
So I guess this might be like a Terry credit. What's the optimal amount of people per survey?
5.
Well, it really depends. Last year, Turner's Bar had way more clams on it, so that really slows down. You start getting 150 spat clams. But this year wasn't as thick there, so we were able to move. But I mean, 4 hours, 5 hours would be the most, I'd say, any of the,
But like, so do you want? Is it
usually
better
I
than
think
2
the
groups?
spit is broken up into 2 pieces. And I don't, up in the Demuses, I don't know whether that could be probably just Demuses. I mean, years ago, I think we did upper Demus as a lower, it was 2 crews.
Yeah.
From Winnick's Neck up, you could do all that, probably a 4-hour thing.
Yeah, I mean, you wanna plan on being available for
I
4
mean, if it's just a little thing, you're going to James Point, you might only need an hour or 2 or something, but.
If you ain't counting nothing, things move pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the difference right there, how much, what the resource is in the flats.
I remember the town council where they wanted data.
Yeah, we
That was a big
always,
deal. They wanted data.
and it's not just council, it's the public and it's the DMR. I think Ari has said, we're aiming for 3, at least 3 surveys, right, Ari?
Yeah, I mean, I would hesitate to like stick a number on it and say you have to adhere to this, but you've got such a robust program. My canned answer will always be survey as much as you can within reason. Like understanding that, you know, taking time to do a survey is time people aren't making money. And it's hard work and it's hard to get those numbers sometimes for the surveys. So I mean, there are towns that don't even survey every year, and that ends up hurting them. So you guys are doing well. If you can keep up that momentum, all the better.
Is it 3 surveys per area or 3 surveys? Total, like
Total.
total.
But also, Ari, have you seen any towns require a certain amount of surveys in their ordinance instead of everybody green crabbing?
So as part of a like conservation effort, like you would require participation in a survey to be like eligible for a license. that what-
Yeah, just because
I'm sorry.
basically the idea behind it is we don't want everybody to do all of their hours by crab trapping or
Yeah.
crab killing. We want to be able to incentivize or maybe even require that we do reach a certain amount of surveys every year. And while we're typically getting between 1 and 3, we would almost prefer to get between 3 and 4 is what I'm thinking. Does that make sense? Where you would it like it would be required by ordinance though? I'm not sure if you've heard of
So
anyone.
I would want to check with Ben, our supervisor, just on whether or not this would be discriminatory. But my first thought is, you could add language to the conservation section of your ordinance that doesn't eliminate the option for green crab trapping, but you could almost create like a 2-to-1 ratio for those hours. 1 hour of a survey, or no, excuse me, sorry, I'm like backwards here. 1 hour of a survey would be the equivalent of like 2 hours if you were green crab trapping. So you could potentially word it in a way so that it would be more advantageous for somebody to go do a survey and have their time count double versus doing the green crab trapping. You'd want to be careful and not discourage people from doing any green crab trapping. Maybe it could be a mixture.
But I like what you said, and if there's any concerns, could you just email us? But I think if everyone agrees, it might be best to just say that survey hours count as double time. Massaged by the town staff, but I think, does anyone have concerns with just doing that?
I'd rather see 1.5, but
1.5?
yeah, instead of doubling it up, that seems like pretty good giveaway maybe, but
We get a lot of,
I mean, I know we wanted the survey, so.
right, that's the thing, I just
They
don't
gotta
know.
do 12 hours.
But if you went out and did 4 hours and you got 6, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. 1.5 would, be a little more balanced.
But we can't like require the survey time or.
But it sounds like Ari had said she'd want to check to see if it's discriminatory, but I was thinking it's so good to give the license holders time and a half or double, whichever number we go with, that they would still want to do the surveys.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you could wait till next year and offer that up and see how many people bite on it.
that's true.
If you have a whole bunch of people jump in on it, then we wouldn't have to mandate it.
Okay, so would it have to be in the ordinance or could it be done in the conservation activities memorandum?
I mean, could you add it to the ordinance for 1 year and then take it out next year if it doesn't work out? Try something new.
I really would prefer not to amend the ordinance every year. We've done a lot of amendments.
I know me personally, I don't like surveys. I'm not gonna give up days pay for an hour and a half of extra survey time. I don't know. but it's just me personally, I don't know.
I mean, was it ever worded in there that we get 4 hours for doing Turner's Bar? And I mean, who picked those hours? I don't know where that was years ago. That's just the way it always was. You got 3 here, 4 there. I mean, if that wasn't written down, why can't we just change it to,
I was under the impression that you're just supposed to record
right,
your start time and your end time.
yeah,
And depending on, because depending on how fast you move, it's gonna be different if there's a lot of clams or not a lot of clams.
I mean, if you do 4 hours, you can survey quite an area in 4 hours.
Yeah,
If you just
yeah.
go out there, and play for 1 hour, you're gonna get much done.
right.
You know what I mean?
Be interested in seeing if, like, having already checked to see if it is discriminatory. If it isn't, then I'd be more interested in trying to require it based on the amount of man hours needed to do the whole river in the required amount of time. Otherwise, I guess that the time and a half is probably the second best solution to that.
I'll just chime in. You can't actually put like a required amount of time and man hours as a standard for a survey because every flat, every cove is different and they're different year to year, season to season. So maybe it took, 6 guys 4 hours to do all of Turner's 1 year, but the next year might take 4 guys 2.5 hours because, there wasn't a big set or something. I imagine that DMR would not approve adding language to the ordinance that says something like, 4 hours for doing Turners or, 3 for the spit or something like that. Cause it's so variable.
I guess it just mean something along the lines of use it as a means of determining how many required hours you'd need. And so like the only logical way to estimate the amount of hours to complete the whole project would be to try to estimate what the man hours would be and then divide by the amount of capable clammers that would be doing the survey or that would be required to do the survey. So whatever the total number of clammers are minus the students, some of the students aren't required and some of the whoever's not required to do that. I don't mean necessarily put it in the ordinance as to that's what it is, but I just mean it in an effort to estimate how many hours one would require. Try to base a calculation off that.
Yeah. The other thing to consider is, are you trying to cover total acreage per flat? You can look back at previous year's surveys and see how many diggers were out for how long and how many acres they were able to cover. It varies with each survey. Some years, like gentleman said, you might get a lot of clams and you just can't cover the acreage, even though you've got the same amount of manpower and hours.
I don't know. I suppose, but I just think that you get even if 1 year you only got 3/4 of the flats down, I think that's still more than what are we getting, like a quarter of them done right now? Like I can't imagine we're actually getting, there's 11 areas on the conservation time, and are we at, like, how many surveys are we actually getting done with the current?
Typically, it's between 1 and 3 recently.
1 and 3 areas
Yep,
out of the 11 areas that are on here.
yep.
this year we've done Turner's Bar. We've done anything else?
Demus, we did upper and lower Demus.
So you got Lower Demus. That's
So we got 2. We're looking for,
So you got one more, that's 3.
my unofficial benchmark is we're looking for 3. But yeah, more, as Ari had said, more would be ideal. More is better. Loosely. I think something that would be good to do as well is we've gotta try to get people to come do a public comment and possibly reach out to them and ask them, hey, what is the best way that you want to do this? Because we need to we need to turn up the surveys a little bit, and we'd like to hear from the license holders on how they want to do that. And, you know, when we got 0 public comments for discussing this, it's pretty tough to gauge the best direction, so perhaps I'll work with, town clerks on getting in touch with people, or maybe even sending out just a notice saying, hey, gotta collect some feedback here. But whatever the best process.
We can email
Email.
them. I have all their email. I can email them.
Some towns used to offer like 1 hour conservation work if they came to a meeting. You know, maybe put that on the limit. I mean, 1 or 2 hour, 1 hour a year or something. I mean, at least maybe that'd pull somebody in for a few meetings.
Yeah, I think well, when it comes to this, I think they're gonna wanna come and. I
Yeah.
think some people will wanna talk to us about this.
Yeah, if you can get them, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, was there anything else, any other topics that we wanted to work on tonight? That's all I had really, was we gotta turn up the surveys. I know Andy had wanted to work on the non-resident. So that wording, something we'll be able to use, but I don't know if there's any other changes to the ordinance that anybody had in mind. Nothing?
No.
Okay. So, anything from you, Darren?
I don't think so.
Okay. Ari, anything you might consider?
Nothing for now. I just put it on my calendar to, excuse me, give the ordinance another just read through. I'm kind of doing that with all the towns. So it'll be good to refresh myself.
What new things have other towns been implementing that?
Can you say that again?
What other, like, what new ordinance changes have some of the other towns been implementing?
Oh, gosh. Well, kind of runs the gamut. Brunswick did a pretty extensive overhaul with their student apprentice license. They created actually a whole separate addendum that details like the apprenticeship and the mentor role, and the certain benefits that program afford to the mentees and the mentors. And I've got a couple other towns down south that are working on just some minor language cleanup. There, nothing groundbreaking as far as additions. But I will say the Brunswick thing was unique. I hadn't dealt with that before, but I think it's a good program. They're going to give it a whirl.
All right, appreciate that. So if there's no other discussion on these amendments, then Liam, did you have anything?
No, thank you, Noah. I think I guess I'm indifferent. I think people should do surveys, but I don't know if it should be forced. I don't think it should be double time. Maybe time and a half would be a nice incentive. I think they're all good ideas.
Okay, we'll get more public comments and feedback hopefully, and we'll see how that changes our minds, but that sounds good. All right, item 9 on our agenda is to set the next agenda. And so what I'm planning on is we're going to discuss and act on the amendments to the ordinance, meaning we'll vote on them. And then get that process started. Any other items folks may want to add for the next agenda? Probably going to be October. Okay. We can keep thinking of them by just send me an email if you do. Item 10 on our agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, Andy makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
Yep.
second the motion to adjourn.
Second by Terry, and all those in favor? All right, so Liam, if you're in favor, then that's unanimous
Yep.
at 7.
I got a couple questions before you end the stream, if I could. Noah, can I go ahead?
Yeah, can we Does it have to be on YouTube? Can we just?
Never mind. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just for the next agenda, the old business will be discuss and act on amendments to ordinance.
Yep, just like it's written now, but it's the discussion and action. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, appreciate it, Liam.
See ya,
You guys.
Karen.
I hope
See you. Bye, Ari. Thank you.